No, I don't want chat. I want master. How about now? Is that better? Better, better, better. Better, better, better. Okay, it seems like that's better. Let's see. Is that better? Let me know, chat. What's going on? Okay, let's start over here. Let's go back. Let's rewind. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, so we're gonna cut that first part out. We're gonna start over. Okay, so um, let's talk about what's cracking. I've been doing some research. This is a whole different subject. Don't worry about all that fun stuff. Um, we're going to talk about that. I got some new thoughts on some new videos and some new stuff, and we're also trying to do this on X as well. So we'll see what is going on over there. I don't know. It's going to be fun and new, and we're going to try it out. So let's get into what we're here for, and let's go ahead and bring it on in. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, all right, so let's talk about what's been going on. Let's talk about all the lady shows, right? Because there's a lot of lady shows going on right now, and it seems like the masses are, I mean, I say the masses, but it's not really the masses, is it? I mean, it's like 14 people that are upset about uh first it was the trailer for Acolyte, and everybody started to, have their start, getting impregnated with uh their woke thumbnails and their woke talk. And then you fast forward and we get a Tales of the Jedi trailer again about two female driven characters. So then that, that's the growth of the woke pregnancy, right? And then we get to today, this morning, and we are already back in the woke mentality of this new Outlaws game that's actually going to come to fruition, right? So we're actually going to get this thing is actually going to make it to the finish line, unlike so many other games in this platform, in this Disney era. So is it, the question raised by the thumbnail, is Disney going too far with the wokeness? So we'll start there. I mean, feel free to bring any conversation in the chat you so desire, but the ultimate question becomes, is this just another step in the wokeness and the woke, and I say woke, agenda of the House of Mouse, or is this just another day in the multiverse where everything has to have an agenda? So please chat, engage. Um, Let me know what your thoughts are in regards you know, to that. I'm very curious to see what everybody has to say, just because this tends to be a bit of a touchy subject, so to speak. Everybody's got their feelings on this, and frankly, I mean, then you could go one step further. You could go even one more. The Ray movie, being directed by what great timing, right? Being directed by our feminist journalist. I don't even dare butcher her name. Um, so yeah, so there's a lot of this feeling in the metaverse going around, and I'm curious to know how everybody feels about this, what everybody thinks about this. Am I wrong in thinking and having this feeling that you know Disney is taking this, continuing this agenda, I guess, if you believe that the agenda being What's the word I'm looking for? If you feel like Disney has an agenda that they are pursuing, that all of the Disney Star Wars haters and YouTubers and streamers and all that, if you think that they're full of it, but this is happening, so are they right? Or is this just something, the lines that they're following right now? I mean, where do you go with the sequels? Right? Where do you go from there? I mean, the only person that really had a complete story arc is Ben Solo, and he's dead. Kylo Ren, he's dead. Snoke is dead. Leia's dead. Luke's dead. Han's dead. Finn, you could have something if John wants to come back. So where do you go? I mean, Rey's the only Jedi on the table at the moment. So in regards to that future timeline, where do you go? Where else do you go? I don't see a path without her guiding us to new story, hopefully. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. I gave you guys a minute while I was bantering. People jump on a bandwagon because they hear what they want to hear from those channels. Now, I do agree with that. I think that's a great representation of what's going on. I think that's inherent in all social media. I think that's more of what social media is really good at is getting you into a camp, right? And so that's a really great breakdown. Yep. An answer to your question, Tote and outlaws are fine. Now, Acolyte, with what I know from reading books, that could spell trouble. We'll see. I mean, right now, the main character could look female, but at the end of this series, they could totally transition into a male lead, killing off that. I mean, think about how they did The Walking Dead with Rick Grimes, right? Initially, it was the Rick Grimes show, and then they broke it off into I don't even know what, because I stopped watching way before they killed him off. But that's not the point. The point is these days, lead characters or characters that are ushering us into the next phase of something don't necessarily have to stick around, right? So with Acolyte, these could be just characters ushering us into something crazy. We don't know yet. And that's, I guess that's why I get frustrated with this notion that because we saw I don't even dare to butcher another name because we saw the a Trinity character, and we see a bunch of other females, and we see a bunch of other types of Jedi, Wookiees, and all these other creatures are awesome, but all those people could die in the first season. Right? They could be just showing us the first episode where like the Sith massacre an entire whatever of Jedi, and then they have to cover it up somehow. There's so much opportunity. So, and that's my point is you can't judge a body of work until it's complete. This has always been my gripe with any social media, is that we continue to judge, well, not we, but the channels that do continue to judge a body of work and a show and a title of this and that before ever seen a frame, just based off who's directing, who's acting in it, what the trailer gives us, right? But trailers don't often give us the real truth. They're almost intentional rope-a-dopes. They're intentionally luring you in to say, hey, check this out, what's going on in this hand, while something else is going on behind the scenes, right? That's the classic rope-a-dope. So more than anything, all these channels and social media posts and tweeters and X's and all this, they're just looking for clicks to bait people in that are already angry at the platforms. So it's a tough gambit to dance in regards to that could spell trouble, because we don't know what's going on yet. So that's how I feel about that, Anthony. There's probably an agenda to put women in Star Wars and tell the haters to get over. I mean, look, there's women in everything. I mean, some great lead characters are women. It doesn't have to be gender. Why does it have to be gender specific? I guess is my point. If the character is good, what's the difference? How they pee. Am I wrong? Okay. Personally, I'm not excited for Acolyte. It doesn't look good visually. Yeah, but we saw a trailer before we even have a release date. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. It's not even done. Like, yes, you're seeing what was leaked, potentially what was leaked at Celebration, but they put that, they're chopping it up. It's still not even done. Like, this isn't the final cut that they're going to present online. This is still many iterations back from what they're going to give us. They give us show quality, but it's not going to be perfection. It's not going to be done 100%. I mean, that's, I'm sorry. That's not it. I'm pumped for Tales, curious about Outlaws, but not at all excited for Acolyte. Again, great. It's great that you're excited for Tales. The first Tales of the Jedi was awesome. It completed some stories that were amazing. It retconned, if you will, a potential Ahsoka, but really the Dooku story arc, which was the meat and potatoes. I mean, I'm going to stand for you because you brought this up. This is a Tales of the Jedi based merch. But so look, the first Tales was awesome because it finished a story that we didn't really even understand that we wanted. Then you fast forward, you get some Ahsoka stuff that's now leading into the next Tales of the Jedi with the Inquisitors, or Tales of the Empire, which is even better because we get to see more of these two Inquisitors that we know nothing about. I've got some theories. I haven't even gone through it yet. We're going to do that on another video and break that down, but I've got some theories on that are just crazy shit. Rey wasn't written well. Look, that whole arc wasn't written well, right? The fact that you didn't have one at least, if you were going to play a shell game with directors, if you were going to put this measuring thing going on the table between these two guys, between JJ and Ryan, there should have been one consistent writer or one consistent producer ushering these stories all the way through. That's why Rey wasn't written well. That's why Luke was trash to most people, right? So there's so many things going on in that, in regards to that. We could go on a whole tangent. I love talking about it. We can talk about it all day. We do it all the time. We always rehash back to the sequels. So yeah, we can do that. If you want to, let's talk about it. Bring it. I love that conversation because those decisions were a pissing contest between two grown men that should have put their egos aside to make good content. End of story. What was the first question? The first question, well, is Disney going too far with going woke? Is the first question. T. Davidson, welcome to the party, pal. Let's see. Okay. Well, that was KK's intention all along. Since 2013, by 2015, she was publicly declaring that she was that she wanted to see a female Luke Skywalker. She got it, made it with the sequels. I didn't see a female Luke Skywalker. If you could send me a picture of the screenshot of the movie, I'd love to see it. Or unless you're talking about Rey, in which case the similarities are awesome, but I mean, there is no Luke Skywalker. No need to be sorry. Like Anthony, he hates women. I mean, look, there's a lot of fault with Kathleen in these. But there's also a lot of fault in the Bobs that we're pushing this stuff through. Also, it's not, you can't just fault this. This goes up the chain to Disney and them wanting to push content through to make more money faster. So I understand that argument that everybody wants to put on the table that Kathleen is this and Kathleen is that. You know what? I need to wash this KK out of my mouth. Hold on. I got to get the Matt Cave. If you don't have any Matt Cave gear, you got to get it. It's the best stuff you're going to get. Oh, it just brings everything way back down for a minute. And we're going to bring it way back down. No, there we go. No. There we go. That's way back down. Okay. Matt Tween. agenda, possibly. All Vision's 2 episodes, main characters were female. Ahsoka, main 2 characters were female. Mando season 3 was greatly focused on Bo-Katan. Tales of the Empire is focused on 2 females. Okay, let's go through that. Visions, I got to be honest, between us, don't tell anybody I didn't watch Visions season 2. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's get into Ahsoka. Main 2 characters were female. Who was left? Zeb. Okay, we saw Zeb. He's off with the he's off with all the X-Wing pilots, hanging out in bars and in the Outer Rim. Who's left from the Rebels cast? Who's left to continue this Ahsoka story with? Right? I was hoping, I was praying to see the sisters from season 7 of Clone Wars, the sisters that everybody hated and despised. I was praying for that. I'm hoping we're going to get to see some of that in the finishing of the Bad Batch and the start of the rebellion and what have you. But instead, we got Hu Yang, who was an awesome character to lead us into so much legacy. He's like the Encyclopedia Britannica. If you don't know what that is, he's like an encyclopedia of Jedi knowledge. I mean, what do you need a temple for when you got that dude right next to you? So much information, right? Okay, so who's left on that crew, right? All the men sacrificed themselves, right? So there's no one left on that crew. Kanan, dead. Ezra, presumed dead by everybody except for the Ghost crew in the outer reaches, right? Zeb is out flying X-Wings with all the other cool guys in the Outer Rim. So there's no one left except for Ahsoka and Sabine. Hera's a general, so she's not able to just go on a wild goose chase with these 2 potato heads, right? So who's left? One, Sabine promised. We're going to make a video about that, so don't let me forget about that. I'm not going to forget about it. You don't forget about that. I'm going to make a video about that. I got some thoughts on some stuff. But okay, Sabine made a promise, right? So she feels obligated to go find Ezra. Ahsoka is looking for Ezra because she's looking for Thrawn, because Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth and all of this stuff is playing connect the dots to where Ezra and Thrawn are together. And she doesn't want to get Ezra. She wants to get Thrawn, but she knows Sabine's going to come along for the ride if she mentions Ezra. So she's down. So who's left? Next, we have Mando season 3, greatly focused on Bo-Katan. I disagree. At the end of the day, Din Djarin is sitting on the porch with Grogu. Bo-Katan's still in charge where we left her in Rebels. Whatever. And Tales of the Empire focused on 2. Look, the 2 women they're focused on. Number 1, I want to know more about Morgan Elsbeth. Right? I don't know about the rest of you. I want to know, and they're giving it to us. How did you and Thrawn hook up? What happened during this? It's amazing. It's going to be awesome. And then you give me Barriss. This is a question everybody's been talking about for how long? How long have we been having this conversation? Where is Barriss? And exactly what I said, I was right to begin with. Barriss became an Inquisitor. That was an easy sell. Boom, done, checkmate. Next. Okay. Certainly a trend. Yeah, cool. Trends. Okay, let's see what else. Me personally was weird at Celebration 2023 where the cast and Leslie only talked about politics. The content. Look, I get it. I don't like that. I don't like any of those conversations either. Keep your politics out of my Star Wars. But ultimately, sometimes, you get great content from people that are a little bit political. Everybody's got their own politics. I just say keep it out of my Star Wars. I try to keep it out of my channel. You've been listening to those channels, haven't you, Andy? Good sir, at this point, I wouldn't at all be surprised if the female lead characters refer to themselves as non-binary. It's already happened in the books and the comics. Well, there are some characters like, I don't know the Rock's character. I don't know the giant Jedi Rock. I bet you that's a non-binary character. Aside from that, I can't comment. I don't have any information moving forward. You can't deny Disney Lucasfilm has been putting the emphasis on women in their shows. Not that it's a bad thing, but it depends on execution. So people are just speculating on what haven't seen yet. Totally agree. That is a fantastic point. And yes, there have been a lot of female roles, but for a long time, there was just one. I'm not saying that that's a good or bad thing anyway. I'm just saying for a long time, there was really only one female character that wasn't chained to a hut or leading the rebellion, but a main focus story arc. So, I mean, whatever. Okay, moving forward. Let's see. Some people brought up Leslie's past comments about George on a podcast years ago, simply implying his handling of the prequels was rooted in misogyny, plus her past ties to Harvey Weinstein. Look, I'm trying to be gentle with this. Again, I don't disagree that everybody's got a past. I think that commenting on what George has done and his handling of the prequels was rooted in misogyny. I just don't get that conversation at all. I can't see that the prequels were really misogynistic. I mean, Padme was a pretty dope character throughout the entire thing, never being a helpless woman, a lot like Leia was. I don't really get that, but again, working for Harvey, I mean, a lot of people worked for Harvey, and I'm sure not everybody had a great. I don't think maybe anybody that had a great time working for him. So, when did you send me the article? That's probably other chat. Okay. Let's see. Okay. She handpicked Carrie Hart to be her head of story group. She basically had Pablo Gadaldo help pick the writers for project. Okay. Sure. Again, Pablo Hidalgo didn't really make great decisions in his tenure in the story group. So ultimately, I'm going to put that on the shelf there and see, some people. Okay. So, okay. Well, there's some, yeah, I mean, look, I think that, again, this is also part of being typecasted, right? This is the stuff that a lot of actors go through when they're, Keanu Reeves is another one, but we look past it a lot with Keanu. We see Neo, we see John Wick. If you watch some of the other stuff he's done, he's brilliant. I'm going to give this a go. I also feel the same way. I see a lot of Trinity every time I see that. And then you come on and you do interviews and you talk about how this character is inspired by Trinity, and then you just leave it open for a lot of these conversations about, you don't want to be typecasted, but at the same time you talk about how one character inspires another and yeah, whatever. She's not a Star Wars fan to get an outside look. Yeah, you have to say who are we talking about? I only love the animation projects, but the live action projects look horrible visually, unfortunately. I don't have a degree from film school, so I can't really judge the way something looks. I mean, look at my background. I can't say that because I'm not a camera guy. I'm not I didn't go to film school. I thought they looked great, but that's just me. Justified motherfucker, what's up? Welcome to the party, pal. All right. Leia saying hi to a bunch of people. Matt saying hi to a bunch of people. Okay. Oh shit! I forgot about Shin. Shin. I forgot about Shin. So that's 3. Again, they created her though. So, I mean, female leads aren't inherently bad. I think that the ratio that leads some people to be hypersensitive to stories they're producing. Yeah, I get that. And I'm with that. Some of the best characters in movies have been female. I mean, Ripley from Alien. Come on, that's an amazing female lead, and way back when. So yeah, there's a lot of great female leads out there, but we'll see how this goes. I've okay. Let's see. Anthony loves female characters. Cool. Geode, that's the guy. Thank you, Geode. Yeah, I guarantee Geode's binary. I wouldn't doubt if Geode's binary. Let's see. Brand, I really love female characters a lot. I currently have the most in the projects written. Yeah. Again, George is getting an award at Con. That's cool. Having 20 female characters now doesn't mean that having 5 quality. Again, female characters can die too. That's all I have to say. Somebody's got to die eventually. Yeah, and this goes back. I don't feel like Ahsoka was written poorly. As much of a female-driven vessel, people say that was. I didn't feel like that was a. I didn't really feel it was written poorly. I feel like everything was written really well. Again, I also feel like these shows are not shot like episodics. I think these shows are shot like movies, and then they chop them up into these climactic endings or as much as they can, and it's a frustrating thing for the viewer because that's how Kenobi was shot. If you watch Kenobi as a strung out one after another and just binge watch it, it's really good. The pacing is much better if you watch Kenobi bit by bit by bit by bit. It gets thrown off week by week. You lose the tempo, but if you actually watch it in a binge, the tempo is much better. All right, let's get to the end of the chat. Okay, so that's the first subject of conversation, right? And I'm glad that there is so much diversity in the chat. I'm glad that there. Let's see. I'm sorry, Flash. I saw Flashberry. I've never seen Flashberry here. That's a great name, by the way. How could something be woke just because the main character is female? Like, come on, man. Don't do this. The world is made up of men and women. So, look, yeah, sure. I agree with that. I think I don't really care your gender as long as the character's as long as it's a good character. I don't really care what your gender is. Doesn't really matter to me. Yeah, Flashberry, great name. Darby Entertainment, another great name. Saying hello. Yes, but what are we getting to? Look, yes, the franchise has a lot of female leads right now. Yes, there's a lot of writers out there that are female right now. I also feel like there's a lot more opportunity for female leads right now. I mean, Skeleton Crew is a male lead. We should be happy about that. Something in the mix. Again, this is just the conversation I know that is going on out there. I know there's a lot of this wokeness festering in the fandom. I see it. I mean, I see it every day, but with the Outlaws, with Acolyte, with Tales of the Empire, I think there's a lot going on. That's how I feel. I feel like there's a lot going on, and honestly, I could see Paris dying. I could see Barris dying at the end of the show. What happens then? What happens if they kill her? I mean, we know Morgan Elsbeth is going to become Super Night Sister, right? I mean, we've already seen that in the Ahsoka show. But I mean, what if Barris dies, right? What if she turns? And my thought is this, honestly. This is where it gets a little spicy. Yeah. Honestly, I could see. Okay, we're gonna come back to this. I'm gonna leave this up as I finish off my Bears conversation, and then we're gonna dive into this. This is what I want to talk about. This is also something I want to talk about. So thank you for. I hope you're interested in this subject of conversation, Darby, because we are going to talk about this in just a minute. So don't go anywhere. Okay. So, so here's look. I could see Barris dying at the end of this show. I could see this being a lot like Tales of the Jedi, where we're going to get some forward movement on other shows and other arcs from this. So lots coming. Okay, let's get into this. Now that we've been here for half an hour, we've been talking about get woke, go broke. Well, let's talk about the go broke part. We've been talking about go woke for about 30 minutes, for about half an hour now. We've been talking about go broke or go woke. Now we're going to talk about go broke. Okay, because this is really something that I want to talk about because I don't get it. Okay, so we're gonna go. I guess we'll just let me. In fact, I'm gonna pull this up, and we could go through other stuff in a little bit. We can come back to this, but I want to go through. I want to go through this. Okay, so we're gonna open a new Google tab. Okay, I'm gonna switch sides because I don't like being on that side. Okay, so we're starting a Google tab, and here's what we're gonna Google. Okay, we're just gonna simply Google. Okay, let's do this. Let's Google. Okay. Where are we? I had to make sure none of my secret. Okay. Somebody just showed up. Let me see who showed up. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, we're still on woke. We're still on woke. Hi, woke.
I just woke up.
Hello, caller.
What's up, man?
No. We're just sitting here talking about going woke, getting broke. But we were just ending the woke conversation, and we were gonna jump on the brokenness conversation. Okay. So this is the current theme that I keep hearing, right?
Okay.
Is that Disney continues to lose money with the over the last couple years with their wokeness, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna go, and we're just gonna go based on the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I look at every single day, right? Every day I wake up and I check the market and I check things that I'm vested in. And so currently, right, Disney's stock is $117 a share.
Right.
Now, if you go back as far back as this will let us to 5 years ago, their stock at its peak in 2021 was about $200 a share.
Yeah, pre-COVID dump.
Right? And pre-Disney, I think Disney Plus has also been a huge drain on the company. I don't think it's just the shows. I think the platform as a whole has been a huge drain as an experiment for Disney. It's been awful.
Yeah.
However, in this modern time, in 2024, right? In this last year, in this last fiscal year, the stock is up.
Right.
The stock is
Well,
up.
so I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not a numbers guy. I've never been the numbers guy. People can go to Valiant Renegade or whoever if
Yeah,
they,
and
if they
that
want to
dude
break down the stocks. But
does his research.
yeah, he does for sure. I think, it's important to remember, we so often when we're talking about Disney, we're like, it's Star Wars. We're talking about
Right.
Star Wars,
If
but
Lucasfilm had their own monarchy, it'd be a different story.
yeah, exactly. So the other
Right.
thing to remember is not only is it, are they an entertainment division? Now they've got all these other,
Well,
they've got their fingers in all these different things and the parks.
Well, but Disney also is making major moves in the future and innovation, which they've always done. They've
Mhm.
always been on the forefront of technology, and the thing that they're buying into now heavy is Epic Gaming.
Yeah.
And the Unreal Engine, and that streamlines a lot of production. That streamlines a lot of help them develop games, considering they have a gaming division at Lucasfilm Games.
You wouldn't know it, but
You wouldn't know it based on what they output. You wouldn't know it.
yeah.
But at this point, the idea that Disney as a whole is losing money is not really the case. Yes, what they're spending on these shows, right, it is not necessarily a loss in all cases, right?
Not in all cases, no. I would say part of what they factor in when they say that they're losing money is something that can't really be quantified, and
Correct.
it's the potential loss of money of
Correct.
what could have been made, and you can't quantify that.
No. Well, that's
if
like
I were to
quantifying a
run it off
stock,
of that,
right? Like,
yeah,
that's
if
like
I were to run it off of that, I would call it an absolute unmitigated disaster for sure.
for real.
Um,
But that, again, that's not how the books pan out when you look at Marvel,
Yeah,
when you look at Disney parks, when you look at development, when you look at R&D. These guys aren't losing money because now people have to pay them 40% when they want to use Unreal Engine,
hmm
right? Like, they make very smart money moves, but you can write off these losses.
yeah, they're
That's
keeping the
what
company afloat for sure, and to come back from, I think at its low, it was somewhere in the
89,
80s.
87.
After the COVID thing too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. I mean, there was some time for it to catch up, but it's bubbling back up. I think they're starting to see a resurgence in some, attendance at the park.
Yeah.
But
I'm
an
going next
entertainment
week.
division, I gotta shut my window really quick. Hold on, I'll be right back.
But yeah, so I mean, and for the chat, let me get in the chat for a second. Yeah, X-Wing's here, everybody, hooray. Yeah, again, it's not these shows are ultimately, these shows can be written off and put the company in the green if they don't do well, because I think ultimately, especially because they're putting this stuff on a streaming platform, if they were putting this stuff on the major networks, I don't think they could write it off the same way. But because streaming until recently has been written off in the contracts as experimental, I think a lot of their losses get written off because they're contributing to streaming, which is contributing to the success of streaming as a whole. So I can't tell you the inner workings because I'm not an accountant, but ultimately it seems like streaming as an experiment is over because now the union contracts and all this other stuff have caught up to the services finally. So I don't know if I think that for a long time these things were more write-offable, and they could just say, "Oh, that show did awful. $80 million down the tube, $200 million. Just write that in the loss column. We'll make some money on
Like
it."
a fart in the wind, dude. Just
And that's
gone.
it. But because streaming was experimental until this year, a lot of those expenses could have been written off. That's why the stock is not at $10 a share, which is what people really think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all these thumbnails, you see everybody talking about, oh, Disney's woke and they're losing money and they're hemorrhaging money, but the stock is going up, the shareholders are making money, the actors are making money, the parks are making money. I mean, and especially if you're paying employees like $30 an hour to dress up like Goofy, like, people are making money. I mean, the Disney experience isn't great, but we're going to find out next week.
Yeah.
We're going.
Are you going to Land or?
We're going to Land. Land is doing a Star Wars After Dark. So once a year, all year they do theme nights. So they do like the princess theme nights where it's all about, you know, the Snow Whites and the Cinderellas. And then they do like Pride Night where they do like a pride parade. So another set of princesses. And then you go and they do a Star Wars night. I'm not sure if they do a Marvel night, but they do Star Wars. I think it's like 8 to 10 days over the course of the next 2 weeks. And
Season of the Force or whatever they call it.
well, it's Season of the Force, but it's also the park after the park shuts down from 9 to 1 a.m. You get to go explore the park. So it's not just like daytime, let's go to the park. It's like after everybody's gone and it's only
super quiet.
tickets. A little more quiet. I don't think it's going to be super quiet. I've seen some of the pictures from years before. So, but yeah, so we're going on the 16th, which is the first night, which is open night, which is going to be awesome. And then we're also going May 2nd. Because that's the last one before the 4th. So that'll be fun. But
nice.
We'll see. I haven't been in the park in 30 years. So
oh shit, seriously?
Yeah, I haven't been since I was a kid.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna go have a good time. We're staying on the property. We're staying in the Disney hotel. So we don't have to go anywhere. But yeah, we're doing that whole thing. We're contributing to the company, but yeah, I figured I'm not
just
gonna
missed out on that Star Cruiser hotel, bro.
I know, it's okay. They'll do something. They'll do something with it, I'm sure, eventually. I hope they do something with it. I hope they don't just leave it barren.
I don't think there's any shot in the world they leave that place barren. They have to do something with it. They put so much money into that thing just to dump it.
I think the smart thing would be to just change it over and make it old, OT themed.
That would be intelligent, and that's not what they're gonna do.
Do the whole Vader is invading. Instead, don't call it the Halcyon anymore. Call it, what was Leia's
Alderaan
ship called? No, the ship.
Oh, the Tantive.
Yes, make it that. Change all of the maps and everything to that. Vader invades. Leia's running away or finding R2 and puts the plans in R2. Like,
not gonna happen.
That's the only way that place does any good. I hate to tell them that, but that's the way it makes money.
I honestly think the smart play right now, just because of the age group, if they want to make money on it for the next 10 years, cater to the prequel kids, because now we're in our 30s.
That's true.
Coming up on 40s, we got some money to spend. We're bringing our kids to Disney. I think it's made such a big resurgence, and I think where your money's at is there. Although I think it was Kathleen Kennedy that said they didn't want to make a park for 40-year-olds. So
yeah, well, I mean, she doesn't have the best ideas anymore. I think it's kind of like I feel the same way about my politicians.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a point where you've stayed too long.
You're a little out of touch.
You're a little out of touch. You've stayed too long, and I think it's time for you to retire and enjoy the vast amount of wealth that you've acquired over your career, and do what you had Din Djarin do at the end of Mando, and go watch somebody fish while the sun sets. Yeah. I think I don't dislike the woman as much as everybody else, but I do think there's a point at which you've stayed too long.
It's time to look at the rabbits now, Lenny.
Yeah, it's definitely time to put the lotion on the skin, and just go bury yourself in a hole somewhere. But yeah, I mean, ultimately we'll see, what they do with that. I think I think that's a great idea. I think it's harder to do like a set show with the prequels. It would be hard to have Grievous running down the hallway, although that would be really, really cool.
Dude, yeah, you see him at cons all the time.
They've
got some incredible Grievouses at cons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Put that in the stage show to where he's chasing an Anakin and Obi-Wan or something. Like, that would be super fun. There's a lot of opportunity. I think just putting it on the shelf and letting it collect dust. I mean, honestly, I've often said, if you're gonna do something, go big boy, right? Like, oh, we don't want to make a part for grown-ups. Cool. You know what kids like to do? They like to pew.
Yeah.
So make it a paintball facility.
Oh, dude, the liability. Are you kidding me?
Laser tag.
There you go. That's a little better. Still, they'd be getting sued left and right.
Pews.
Yeah.
You know, laser tag.
That shit. That still to this day, I think that was like one of the dumbest things.
What, laser tag?
They didn't put any kind of laser tag in any of Star Wars. Like, what are you thinking?
I agree. I think you give a bunch of kids some Imperial blasters. I think you give a bunch of kids some Rebel gear. You let them put on some Stormtrooper armor, and you go have a great time, right? Like,
Do you know what the Buzz Lightyear ride is in Disneyland?
no.
So you like sit in a cart and you go through like a Toy Story, like Buzz Lightyear's land, right? And you're
Cool.
shooting Zorg and stuff with your little laser cannons. I'm
Right
like,
on.
how cool would it be if the ride cart was like the bottom part of an LAAT, right? The clone gunship, and you're sitting in there, or you're in like the little bubbles, and
Right,
you're just
right.
going through Geonosis shooting stuff with lasers. Like,
Yeah,
I'm never getting off that ride.
There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity to do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
To I mean, even as far as like you want to include kids in wheelchairs, okay, make them destroyers, right? Like give them little cannons, and you
There you
can
go.
be part of the action. There's so much opportunity with that building, right?
Yeah.
To go to do laser tag hallway scenes. You would imagine having 20 people deep with laser tag vests on, and the laser tag stuff now is way better than it used to be.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine having 20 deep, like a episode of Battlefront, right? Like a game of Battlefront, just 20 deep in a hallway, just like
Waiting for the door to bust open.
Yeah, like it would be so much fun and so easy to do, inexpensive. Yeah. And then if people want to stay there at night, you make it a party at night where grown-ups can put their kids to bed, and you have cameras in your room so you can watch your kids while you're getting a drink and having dinner and seeing the shows or whatever. There's so much opportunity.
Yep.
That
unrealized.
Oh, dude, so much potential. The funny thing is the technology, there's so much better technology than we were kids. Like the holograms and like help me Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that stuff. You can legit make that shit in front of you. Like
not at Star Wars Land.
Like it's just, oh dude, it's frustrating because they have so many amazing tools.
Yeah.
Right now. I think their lightsaber training needs to go. I think you just put in a lightsaber building station or something there and you call it a day, because that was really fucking dumb.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. And the Savi's, that's the other frustrating part too, is the Savi's workshop, the lightsabers that they make there, they're junk.
Well, and they're gigantic.
Straight up junk. And they're
gigantic.
Huge. They're like Subway sandwich huge.
Yeah, they're like,
it's like, who's carrying these fucking
hey, in that cave, I made a lightsaber.
Check it out. I got Darth Maul's saber here. Like, what the fuck is that?
Exactly. And honestly, I've never been, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's what in the park. I'm looking forward to taking a whole bunch of photos. We're going to stream like crazy. It's going to be opening night. I'm taking a microphone and a mic flag, and we're just going to, I'm guessing there's going to be people dressed up. It's going to be
they
probably
don't allow cosplay in the park.
This is after dark though.
Okay, they might.
So they might. I don't, like I said, we're going like this. I'm wearing my gear and that's it, but we'll see. I'm excited that we're going to go with a couple people this time. And then I know a buttload of people are going on the second.
Yeah.
Like Kyle Katana is going. I think Sheev is going. We're going. There's a whole, like a couple people text me. They're like, are you going? Are you going? So we'll see how many people end up going to that. But that's what we're planning. That's next week. It already crept up on us. But yeah, that's going to be awesome. And then look, I've gone through a couple of things lately. We're going to start making videos again. I watched some clickbait, an hour and a half worth of clickbait the other day.
Oh, wow.
About somebody not doing content anymore that's still going to do content. So I got clickbaited into that. Josh from Den of Nerds.
Oh,
it's like
he's just
I quit
right now.
And then I was like, and then he's like, but I'm going to make more videos. I'm like, God damn it. I got sucked in. Shit. Hobson.
He's a master.
Oh, he's so good. His fucking thumbnail just fucking lured me in, man. It got me. So yeah, what's new with you? What's cracking?
I didn't make a video about not making content anymore. I just haven't been making content.
It's been a slow time. I mean, there hasn't been really anything really
there's a million things I could talk about right now. I could have made a video about the Acolyte. I could be making videos on Star Wars Outlaws. I could be talking about the Bad Batch right now. But the God's honest truth is like, I'm disinterested. which is just like, that's the worst kind of pain for a Star Wars fan, just to be like the pure lethargy and the pure like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I'm just like, I just kind of don't give a shit about it. So when it comes out, I'll at least, then there's something to talk about. Then there's games to stream. Then, when the Acolyte comes out, I can already tell from the previews that this is not going to be my speed. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm curious. Between Skeleton Crew, between there's a couple of Tales. I'm really excited for Tales. I think the animation
looks decent. It's another. They keep fucking doing it. Everything is a female protagonist right now.
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier about going woke, is that there's
I don't even think that's woke. It's just a fucking poor choice.
Well, I think the idea with Morgan Elsbeth is a little bit of background, which I'm all behind. A little bit of Thrawn, I'm all behind.
I just don't give a shit about Morgan Elsbeth.
I kind of feel like that was a weird. But if we get we get some more death on Dathomir, we get some more Grievous, whatever. I don't really care about that. The Barriss stuff looks fun.
Hold on, I'm on daddy duty for 1 second.
Oh yes.
Okay, where do I need to buckle it?
So this one.
Buckle here. And then vice versa. It's like a cross. Okay, got it. Understood.
Don't forget to get your Matt Cave cup.
Understood the assignment.
You have it. He has the best cups. Everything tastes better in the Matt Cave cup.
I know. I don't have mine right now. Maybe I'll go grab it.
I love it. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to the Barriss stuff because we've been talking about that for a long time.
Barriss is cool. I'm excited for that.
I also feel like everybody dies in that Inquisitor scene. Like that's the first class of Inquisitors that gets like, right? Like Vader hasn't started cutting off limbs yet, right? Like,
not
maybe not
theirs.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's where he kind of. I think this is more, for me, built in as a Vader failure because Ahsoka took 2 of these guys out himself. We know Marok lives longer, whatever.
Yeah,
but
he turns into a space fart.
Yeah, but the other Inquisitor, we get a little more information on, which I dig because I thought the visual representation of that Inquisitor was a lot of fun. The other one that turned into a smoke fart.
Wasn't that Merrick?
No, that was the one. The other one's from Tales of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
The one that looked like the Scream mask. So we get, we'll get a little more background in there. But here's my thing: could Ahsoka end up wiping out that whole squad eventually? Like, I would like to see.
The female one was in Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah.
I would like to the female. I don't remember the name of that species.
I completely forgot about her because I was like, man, where have I seen her? But there you go. There's another tie-in to the future. Yeah. But I could see Ahsoka Barriss, an Ahsoka Barriss fight, right? Like,
it's been a long time coming.
I agree. I would really enjoy that. I think that would make the story a little better and a little more palpable. If you find out that at the end of that, if in the final, episode, it's Ahsoka Barriss to the death, I'd like to see that. I think it would be fun.
And I think that's one of those things again, where it's like a cool moment in a show that just like ultimately kind of peeves me off. I hope that's not the case. Look, I'm much, much, much more open to animation.
Yeah.
So for like stuff that they're going to do in animation, I'm way more open to that than I am to live action, because live action to me has always just been basically that's your like strict canon, right? Your 6 movies, that's your strict canon. Whereas in, when you do stuff in animation, like the Clone Wars, man, you can bend rules a lot more,
Yeah. Well, and it's a little easier to use. Even though they have great green screen and great stunt coordinators, you do a lot more with animation than you're ever going to do with live action.
Yeah,
just in the battle sequences and all that stuff, it's just a little easier.
My favorite lightsaber fight in animation was mocapped.
The Ahsoka Maul.
Yeah,
such a good fight.
That was incredible.
Just such good I think they should mocap all animation fights, to be honest. But I think they should bring those people to do every single lightsaber fight in animation. But ultimately, I could see this being, the story of how Ahsoka takes out, 75% of that squad by the end. And then this also being maybe using Barriss to hunt, other Jedi seems a little baity. I could see them just killing her outright at the end of that story and just being like,
well, she's not gonna make it. We know that.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think that she's just a little too Jedi.
Unless like Barriss gets freaking somehow like horribly disfigured, and then they put that helmet on her, and she becomes Oh wait, no, Marok's in that.
Marok's
scene.
already there. Yeah,
he's already in that scene.
That's the thing is they're just
that would have been too interesting.
They're right. They're just throwing up too many loose ends. And I think, for a long time, Star Wars has been the ability to conversate about what is possible. And so they're like, people were asking about, and I think that they were already working on Tales of the Empire when they finished Tales of the Jedi. So they kind of knew, we introduced this Inquisitor, let's figure out who he is. And then they give us that story in Tales. I hope they still do Tales of the Sith.
I thought for sure that was going to be the next play.
I would love to see
play in my mind.
The animated Grievous backstory. Yeah, would be a great one. Like the whole from man to machine, that whole process would be amazing. The Tarkin story would be another Tales of the Empire. I thought that would have been a little more appropriate than Morgan Elsbeth, because there's so much from Tarkin of the Jedi to Tarkin of the Burned
So that's kind of where it lies for me, is that like it almost feels a little forced.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
especially
that's what I'm saying. It's just the Morgan thing that feels kind of forced, because it's like, I can tell there's been a shift in my own personal opinion, because I remember watching A New Hope and just casually hearing the Clone Wars and being like, holy shit, that was a real thing. This is something. What is that? And being excited to learn about it in the future. Whereas with a lot of these Disney projects, you hear like, well, what about Rafa Kawewi? And you're like, who the hell is that? And I don't care. And then they're like, coming in September, Rafa Kawewi. I'm like, what?
Well, and that's, it's kind of what I've been yammering for all season, the Bad Batches. I've really enjoyed most of the season. These last couple episodes, I'm like, Dave, baby, booby, bub, you're running out of time.
Yeah.
You're running out of time here, bub. You only got a couple more episodes left. What are you doing with this filler shit? We got no time for this shit.
That's every single Dave Filoni experience. Is like, this story starts out, you're like, you sit there and you speculate about all this different stuff, and then 7 episodes go by and you're like, we're at the finish line here, Dave.
What are we doing? Ends with an amazing ending, and you're like, if this wasn't the final season, I would say, okay, you got time. Tell more stories. Do another season. But when you say final season, there's no room for filler here, dude. Like, what are you doing? And these last 3 episodes, I'm like, dude, you're running out of time.
I have to catch up on them. I haven't seen them yet.
Oh, the last 3 you can watch all together at one time.
I have not seen yet a Dave Filoni show, minus Clone Wars, obviously. I haven't seen a Dave Filoni project that has concluded with me satisfied. Personally,
Clone Wars, Rebels. I was pretty satisfied at the end of Rebels.
Okay, I take it back, Rebels. But then he reopened the freaking can of worms, so it's really not over, is it?
Yeah, it's not over anywhere. Well, yeah, it's a different direction, and it's funny because I just rewatched the entire series. Like, I had it on in the back, not like rewatched every minute of it, but I had it on the background as I'm doing other stuff, and I came across a couple of things that I'm like, okay, so Ahsoka makes that point. Okay. And so I kind of went through a couple things. I'm starting to rewatch a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I could say none of the live action stuff has really left me. I guess Mando season 1, left me pretty hyped.
Are you calling that Dave Filoni?
Yeah, he's involved. I mean, him and John argued about things on set, so I'd call him involved. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's more of a John show.
I'd say 1 and 2 is pretty Johnny.
Ahsoka, I felt really good about at the end of it. I think they're going to be in a little bit of trouble come season 2, but we'll see how he irons that shirt out with Ray Stevenson dying. I think that Karika gonna make a shirt.
I need it.
I need it. But yeah, man, look, I do feel like there's a lot of stuff that's a little forced. But at the same time, I feel like with the Ahsoka show, I think this is going to give us more information than anything else. I think this is more volley. Like this is more of a setup for Ahsoka season 2, especially with Morgan.
What is
Morgan's tales
of
the Empire. Just, you know, everybody's continuing this question, you know, why is she so on Thrawn's balls?
Yeah.
Right. Like, why are you spending all this energy finding Thrawn and getting to Thrawn and this and that? And I think we're going to get a little more of that information in Tales. And I think that's a great vessel to give it to us because she's not going to get her own show.
Did you see what Hasbro put out for a figure? I'm just getting my hopes up and I'm being stupid, but
no.
Did you see what Hasbro put out?
No.
Luke and Jorah Sabayoth. They're getting their own figures from last.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I also saw the I'm gonna fuck it up. What are the little lizardy guys?
Ysilamari.
Yeah, on Thrawn.
Everybody has a different way of saying it.
Yes, that's why I'm not even gonna bother messing it up. I saw one of those on Thrawn's shoulder. I think was
it's a repack from the Luke figure. It's the same Ysilamari, but fine.
So I'm curious if that is going to become a thing leading into Ahsoka. Maybe
it wouldn't make sense for it. So like, it doesn't make sense for Thrawn to interact with Force users and not have Ysilamari with him.
Exactly, and I think
doesn't make sense.
And I think that could also be, you know, maybe something that he found out in Peridia, right? Something a little more.
He finds him when he's going to the I think it's a Sith temple. I'm trying to remember.
Right. So again, I'm hoping that we get to that point, because why would Ezra not just fuck everybody up when he gets to Peridia, unless Thrawn always kind of had one laying around in his office or had one in the vault or something, or find some on Peridia. The Night Sisters are and there was a Sith temple on Peridia and he was there for a really long time. Maybe he found one. That's why Ezra was like, I'm going to go hang out with the turtles.
Yeah. He was looking for, I'm trying to remember what the hell he was looking for, but yeah, he found him in the jungle.
Right. So, I mean, they could totally write that into Peridia because the temple of the Zepho Sith temple was there. So they could totally write that in easily. That's why Ezra never really, you know, conquered the whole armada that was there because he couldn't go near Thrawn. That would make a lot of sense. That would be a great reason why he's hanging out with the Ninja Turtles.
The Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, the little turtle guys. The little snail.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's why
they're crabs.
They're crab. There you go. Hermit crabs. So, you know, that there could be some good storytelling in that, but Morganelle's, this could give us more information into her knowing about this stuff, about her feeding Thrawn some of this stuff that gets us to Ahsoka, that gets us to the next chapter. But again, I think it's more filler, and I'm glad that they're doing it in short 15-minute tales of the Empire rather than full 6 episodes of Morgan Elsbeth talking to Thrawn. Like, I don't want any of that shit unless you're going to do live action Grievous, that'd be
awesome.
Which could be really awesome. We were just talking about the Grievouses that go to the cons, but
wow, dude, I mean, look at what they did with I can never remember his name from Rebels.
Zeb Orrelios.
Yeah. Zeb looked incredible.
Zeb looked fantastic.
Yeah, the fact so that they didn't use you guys are fucking holding out on us.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I totally agree that they're holding out on us in the de-aging stuff. They're totally holding out on us on the Shamukin. They're totally holding out on us because they did an amazing job with Zeb.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly a little pissed off that they didn't use him at all in Ahsoka.
Well, bro, that was like a $2 million 30-second scene right there.
It's Dave Filoni's show. Like, come on, if you're gonna spend bucks, you're gonna spend bucks on his show, right? I mean, it's just madness. Yeah. And then there's, you know, again, we're getting into the supposedly we have a date for or we have stuff happening with the Rey movie. Supposedly there's stuff happening in Mando 4. I don't buy into anything until I see it because
after Mando 3, how does anybody come back to that show hopeful? It's hard for me, dude. That was kind of my last bastion of hope in that live action era. I was stoked on Mando after season 2, and then season 3 it was like, what happened?
Well, and season 3, the way it ended for me, I kind of bought into an ending with that with the whole way.
It wasn't ending.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like at
The
that
Looney
point,
Tunes circle and everything.
that did it for me. I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, what a fucking piss poor way to end the show.
Yeah.
Like, wait, we're doing the Porky Pig. Really?
Really? Like who?
Like,
that made it through. That made the shrinking circle.
That really bothered me. Like that really, and as soon as it ended, I was like, oh, well, that show's over.
Yeah.
Like, the Mandalorian, that show is completely over. You can call a movie something else.
Yeah.
But that show is fucking over.
Yeah, it would make sense in a movie if they're like, "Hey, we got to I know of a guy that we got to call," and he's on the farm and they do the Rambo where he's like, "I'm not in action anymore" or whatever. But season 4, how do you just pick back up and be like, "Oh yeah, he's back in the saddle again"?
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, but I mean, really, the only way to do it, and you're gonna hate it, but the only way to really bring Din and Grogu back into the fold
is to use Boba Fett.
It's the only
Can't
way
be
to
any
do
worse than Book of Boba Fett, right?
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Like for me,
if it's a call to action, it's going to be better than that show. So
for me, it's got to be the only way. The only way to write a Book of Boba Fett season 2 is to do a lot more Jango and to de-age Tem a little bit. Give him the right haircut, and go
bring
back.
Logan back.
Go back to let's go back to Camino. Let's go back to his, to some flashback memories on Camino. Let's do some live action Nala Se, maybe. Let's do some, if they're currently playing in this era of all of these flashbacks that he went through and all this shit, and you go through this Mando episode where you talk about chain codes and this was my father's armor and you could see his chain code, then why aren't we going back a little bit to why he is Mandalorian, right? Like he's not just a bounty hunter. We saw the whole show about you shedding your bounty hunter skin.
Yeah.
And becoming a little more Mandalorian,
mm-hmm.
right? So how cool would it be to do some Camino, go back to Camino, find a docking station that only the slave won, kind of like that scene in Bad Batch where Omega found a lab, right? I would imagine Jango Fett was smart enough to have his own private landing dock somewhere on Camino, right? Off to the side somewhere in an emergency. So it would be a fun way to like fly the Slave One back to Camino, see that awesome vantage of him coming in, and then there being a button in the Slave that's like initiate docking sequence, and you see a platform rise, and then he gets a little more, maybe like a holocron, like maybe a hologram of Jango talking to him, knowing like I'm a bounty hunter. I could die.
Like, Topeka's fucking gone. That city's gone.
Right, but again, we had the same thing with Omega's lab, right? Like that was intact, separate from the main platforms, right?
Yeah.
So this is something off away that they built him for him.
Yeah.
But then you could get a hologram of Jango talking to Boba.
What it should be him talking about should be basically the Mandalorian Civil War and the houses going against each other. Yeah, and go back to
his master and how he was Mandalorian, but he left because of the politics and he became a bounty hunter. And yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like a full holocron of information just for Boba because he was a bounty hunter. He knew he could have died at any time. It wasn't likely because he was the best, but he knew like I could get axed. How cool. What a great way to bring Boba to Mandalore.
You need to learn your history.
Yeah, dude. Yes. Like I knew I was going to die away from you or something like that. Yeah. And I left this for you. And then boom, it takes him back to the Mandalorian Clone Wars, how he was, one of the leaders, how he was involved in the whole, true Mandalorians.
Yep.
All that
all
shit.
The way back to the Mando Jedi Wars and that history.
And the great thing is he's the only one that's got that information because they destroyed all of it on Mandalore.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Mandalore and goes, hey, you think I'm a piece of shit clone, but here's where I come from.
This is my story.
Right. And then that brings him back to Mandalore for the big thing that's going to happen, that Avengers level, Infinity War level
That's what
movie.
the Mandalorian should have been. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I know we've been saying it forever, but I mean, if you
Yes.
want us to give a shit about Mandalorians, tell us like why we should give a shit about it.
But
They're like, we have an ancient planet and
Yeah.
there's a pool with a big
Yeah.
dragon in the bottom of it. And if you want to, you have to wash your armor with the dragon. Like, okay, I get it. But
that
there's
that
so
would
much
be
cool shit that the Mandalorians did.
well, and that would be the best way, is like Boba on fuck a Rancor. Like
Yeah.
Boba on the Mythosaur would be the payoff, right?
Yeah.
Like fuck the dark saber, fuck all that shit. Like
Boba becomes Mandalore as he was supposed to.
yeah, dude. Like what
Yeah.
a great way to bring the whole thing around for all the fans that hate.
Yeah.
Right? For all the fans that are like, this is bullshit, this isn't Boba, blah blah blah. Like, what a great way to boomerang that whole story back to Jaster, back to Mandalorian Civil War, back to him being one of the original, badasses of Concord Dawn. Like, this whole story is waiting for them to tell it through Tem while he's still here.
Low-hanging fruit, baby.
Dude,
He's
it's
right
such
there.
low hang. It's on the ground, ripe. Like, it's
That's the
so-
other thing I was going to say that would have been really awesome to do. And I had wondered when they talked about bringing Battlefront back around and doing a remake, if this is something that they were cooking, was doing a 501st show.
Yeah, dude.
With Tem. Just literally do the Battlefront 2 storyline with Tem. Just do that as a show. Holy.
Well, and he's so well, that's the thing. You catch so many fans, and you could bring so many fans back with using Boba season 1 as a way of shedding his bounty hunter skin.
Yeah,
and realizing you're Mandalorian. I think it goes down easier for the fans that weren't a fan of season 1. If you're like, oh, if that's how he's just becoming okay, I can at least stomach it.
Right.
To get us to something better. And
if it had been presented that way, I think, yeah. But it kind of really wasn't.
No, it really wasn't. I mean, the only scene in that whole thing that gets me there is the cantina scene where he's like, you can take off, dude. I'll do this. And he's like, yo, you're Mandalorian, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. This is what we do. And use that moment as a trigger. Like, have that be the opening line in the back of his head as he's in a back to tank or in a thing. Just have that reverbing in his head, for just a minute with a black screen.
Yeah.
Saying, you're Mandalorian, you're Mandalorian, you're Mandalorian. I just think it impacts, and then it changes the whole arc of the story. Boba's no longer a bitch.
Yeah.
He comes back to being Mandalorian. You get a little bit of Darksaber knowledge in Boba's or in Jango's holocron. Like, how bounty hunter badass would it make Jango Fett if he literally reprogrammed a Jedi holocron to be his fucking safe? Like,
I think I would hate that.
I would love that.
I
would love to be like, fuck this thing, delete data, start over. I don't give a fuck about the Jedi. Like, that's so Mandalorian. And it would be cool because it would have been something that, like, the Mandalorian Civil War, something they could have done. Like, delete their holocron information. Like, these are their information vessels, delete. Like, that would be something. There's just, like you said, there's just so much low-hanging fruit. I feel like Dave needs better storytellers alongside him. You can't carry the weight by yourself for everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? You're not, like, you don't make it to the top pushing everybody up the hill, right? Along with the boulder. You do it by everybody pushing the boulder up the hill. And
I would say, like, dude, fucking just put Sam Witwer in charge. We'd be fine.
Dude, that guy is a fucking nerd.
He's a font of knowledge.
God, he's ridiculous. I watch his interviews and it's just like, will you please come talk to me for an hour? Just like, what is it going to take? What's your SAG rate? Like, go slumming. Come on, man. You were once a loser like me. Come on. You were just once a loser Star Wars fan like me until George Lucas realized you knew what the fuck you were talking about. Like, let's go. So
I still have my happy birthday video.
I do. And the funny thing is I still have footage from Celebration where Sheev was talking to him. I just haven't dug it up.
Yeah.
So like, dude, he's such a badass and still relevant. Did you see the Katie conversation that him and Katie Sackhoff had on her podcast?
No.
Oh my
Pretty
god, dude. Oh my god, it's so good. Here, let's see if we can. Let's see if
Check
we
it
can.
out. Yeah, send me a link for
Let's
it.
see if we can find. I mean, I know I can find it. It's let's go to Katie. Let's go to the Katie Sackhoff show.
What are you thinking of this Skeleton Crew thing? I don't know what to think yet. I really don't know I don't know anything about it, to be honest, man.
Let's see. Yep, 102 hours of it. I'm excited. I think anything with anything talking about young, Jude Law's
this year.
a great actor. But I'm because we haven't got anything on it, it's kind of like Acolyte. I'm excited because it's Jedi and lightsabers.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because it's another story of a time not told.
Well, you've seen the trailer, right?
Yeah.
For Acolyte?
Yeah.
What do you think
the
about
Acolyte
Kung
trailer
Fu?
the Acolyte trailer looks great.
You like the Kung Fu?
Yeah, because I think everybody's got to die. Like that's my hook on a lot of the Acolyte stuff is that scene that we see. I could see all of them getting erased.
I know. I'm just talking about like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style fighting.
It's an older time. Yeah, there's a lot of that kung fu stuff in like Ahsoka's training. There's a lot of that stuff in,
I do not accept your answer.
higher levels of a longer time of peace. I can't really say. It doesn't really bug me. I haven't really looked that deep into it, but then again, I'm more interested in the story of where is this going to put us? Is this going to put us to the Plagueis timeline come season 2? Is this going to give us the entrance to a potential Palpatine murder scene, which I'm really excited about? Or like where could this lead us is more of what I'm interested in rather than what they gave us. Because I know what they gave us is bullshit, right? I know they gave us spoon-fed crap that we are going to overanalyze and misinterpret, like all trailers. And I think the actual content of Acolyte could be fucking baller. Like,
so.
Yeah, dude, all that Hidden Tiger shit, all that, like, that stuff is all hard as fuck. Like all that wire work and all that stuff is fucking cool. Like all that Palpatine style, like, corkscrew. Yeah, like I'll give you all that crazy shit. Show me all that old stuff that the Jedi forgot all about, right? Like in the time of their demise. Okay, so let's put this up. Here's Katie, and we're just gonna put it up for a bit. I gotta go to the other. We gotta put us over here. I can't deal with that side. Okay, so her and Sam sat down. If you didn't know, Katie Sackhoff has a podcast called Blah Blah Blah, and it's
too much, maybe.
But you actually, I remember specifically.
Hold on.
You were advocating.
Can you hear that or no?
It's a little low.
Okay, but you can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the script. I saw you do that a few times.
So you can hear that, yeah?
Because I watched all you guys.
Yeah, just crank her up a bit.
All right,
watching you guys like a creep.
Do you imagine? I
yeah.
was like, oh, that was you.
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah. They're fine. I also got my music going on. Let me kill that.
So she,
Right.
But that was the thing when I was doing like Being Human. Maybe we should say this for the interview because they said no. We asked you to do that, and which is so weird that a producer like Ron Moore or David Icke would say, "Listen, do one as written, and then say whatever you want." That's never before or since has that ever happened. But then he made the joke. He's like, yeah, we asked you to do that, Sam. So you're in the clear. And then after you left, we asked everyone not to.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah, they go through this whole. I gotta find the bit. They go through this whole.
He's wearing a true classic tee. It fits him tight in all the right places.
Like he's just such a wealth.
So I times on
because you went to Juilliard, right?
And you know what they teach you there is basically
He went to Juilliard.
Yeah, that's how smart he is, dude.
Wow.
Let's try the way that it's written.
He's so
my voice and speech.
Like people don't really understand how smart he is.
He was trying something, and he goes
like they just
fired off a set.
Think he's just a Star Wars.
I mean, Lord in heaven, I wish they came with name tag.
I was okay with.
They got pod mics. Nice.
Oh yeah,
Ralph Zito.
My God, for Halloween,
It's the only thing you should be using.
Yeah.
comes up your people, and it's not people in the industry. It's sometimes when people they for two, like you said, they have done so right by me, or not
Dude.
even right by me.
Dude.
They owed me nothing. They have given me so much
Yes.
that I would never think,
Yeah.
can I have more?
Right. Do you know what's interesting? You know what's really interesting? It's like, and this goes beyond acting. This just goes to just people and people getting entitled. Is that there are real pressures in life, and people get worried and people get concerned, and they start thinking, well, maybe if I just had that one thing, that would fix my problems. And then they start needing it so bad that they start getting angry at the people they perceive that are standing in the way of getting the thing that's going to fix some sort of insecurity within them. And then next thing you know, we've all heard these stories of like people trying to get some actor hired, and the actor doesn't get the role. And then the actor is ironically mad at the person who tried to get them the role.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Dude,
Yeah.
that person.
So there's, what is that? I don't even know where that came.
Poor Katie.
What do you mean, poor Katie?
I
Oh,
don't know if you got the feeling from this at all, but it seemed like in season 3, it was a whole bunch of rewrites and trying to fix a show because Gina was gone. And so they tried to change a lot of stuff rapidly, and it almost seemed like Katie was a little uncomfortable with the direction they were taking it.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, look, it's always tough when somebody leaves a show. You have to figure out, so many intricacies of what's that character this or what's that character that. And it's, like Ray Stevenson is one thing. Somebody passes away, you got to figure it out, right?
That sucks. He was like my favorite thing in Disney Star Wars up to this point. He was like my favorite thing.
And I think that they are going to I think that they're also I personally feel like the way that Ahsoka ended was very, very much a rewrite because of Rey's death. Right. So I feel like they still have footage that they're going to use in season 2, and they cut it at a certain point to have a second season where they could use his.
Where it makes sense.
I honestly think that they were going to kill him off anyway in the end of the show. But I think that him passing away was like, oh shit, we don't have the ability to do this. So let's re-edit a little bit so he's got some scenes in the second season, because his character arc fell right off. As soon as they got to Periddy, it was like
flatline.
I'm out. See ya. Like, I'm gonna go be a nomad. Bye.
Yeah, that was kind of shitty.
My apprentice. See ya. Fuck you. We've been homies for 10 years, and I give a fuck what happens to you. Like his whole arc felt forced and like oddly taken back. And I just feel like that's because they had to use his footage sparingly, and the only place that they could stop his arc was on that mountain with the Mortis gods. And I still think there's more of him finding the chamber, potentially releasing Abeloth and getting eaten by
they're
Abeloth.
not going to do Abeloth, bro.
I would love it if they did Abeloth.
They're not going to do Abeloth. I remember very vividly as discussions were being made, throwing Abeloth out there, and everybody's like, nah, fuck that. And then 2 weeks later, everybody's like, Abeloth, bro. Abeloth,
No,
like,
and only
now I
because,
don't think it's going to happen.
only because it's an easy character to rehash over time.
Yeah.
It's like Zod, right?
Yeah.
It's like Zod in the
Just bring
Phantom
him back
Zone.
from the space mirror.
Bring him back from the Phantom Zone. Yeah. It's that whole Zod feeling is what it feels like to me. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it feels like his character arc was kind of stunted, whereas Gina, that's just bad PR. That's just the PR department not having their heads on right in a time when, I mean, there's so much more important things to be bitching about than what somebody puts on their social media.
100%.
But again, I get it.
I think it's a plan. I mean, we had Rangers of the New Republic. I think that there would be a vastly different take on Disney Star Wars right now if they were able to pull through with Rangers of the New Republic, with Mando season 3, have that stuff tie in. That was their route to Endgame. That
Yeah.
was their route to Age of Ultron, right?
Yeah.
That was their route to get where they needed to go to build the hype to get everybody caring about. And it just feels like season 3 of Mando just derailed everything in the Mandoverse for me.
They finished. I mean, this is kind of. I would rather have a Tales of the Empire Moff Gideon. Right? Give me Gideon's story in Tales, how he got cloning facilities, how he gathered so much power in the new whatever. That's a little more interesting for me than Morgan, but whatever.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a better route. But somehow season 3 made me hate Moff Gideon.
Yeah,
It all took a weird turn, and then he died like a bitch again. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Again, it just felt, and I said this when it came out, it felt very Disney.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. Yeah,
It felt very
Yeah.
Disney-fied. The whole ending of that show felt very Disney-fied to me.
it took a turn from Star Warsy to Disney
A
Star
little
Wars
too
for
Disney,
sure.
and then
Yeah.
they Porky Pigged their way out, which really I was just like, I was even downstairs in the main room, like, what the actual fuck was that?
So
Like,
where do we go now?
Am I being punked? Like, is that really how you shut down the show? Is
Yeah.
dad and son, Andy Griffith and son, are sitting by the pond fishing? That's how you're gonna
Bang!
Oh, it's so
Moff
bad.
Gideon's dead. We're on the farm.
Yeah,
Be
that's
sure
it.
to
Like,
tune in next week for the next grand adventure.
the Dark Saber has been destroyed. Grogu catches a frog.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
oh my god.
It was like the end of a 1962 serial. Like, we'll see you again
so
next week,
bad,
huh?
dude. Like, it's so bad. And I get it. I get it, but it's just like, that was not the way I thought you would end a 3-season show, especially where you went the first 2 seasons. You find the baby, you find out he's, we know a bunch about him, but you find out more about him, and now you're buddies, and then Luke Skywalker comes to rescue him, and then
And Barrow, in 3 seasons, this is another frustrating part to me. Not once have we ever talked about, looked about, hinted at, done anything about his species. The
I
most
know.
interesting thing about Grogu is that he was another Yoda. We don't know anything about their species. We know nothing about them.
Well, and the
And I was
fact
like, we didn't even touch it, not even just like tickle it.
well, and I get, here's another thing is I really enjoyed the Order 66 scenes, right? Those were great in the show, but Grogu, maybe, just maybe, he's a little too young to be trained. Right? Like, maybe that's
the
why
opposite of Anakin.
yeah, like, maybe, just maybe, there's a reason he wasn't trained really trained in the temple. He's a little too young. Maybe he's still a little too young to be trained.
Right.
That's more of what, it really is. Yeah, you can use the Force, but really, I mean, it's just a weird, the whole thing of like, also his path and coming back. Like, wait, you accomplished a mission. Grogu, Luke, bye for a while. Like, all of a sudden, oh, he's back. Here's your, and he doesn't even show up. He's like, here's your shit.
Yeah, dude.
Right? Like,
yeah,
it's just-
Luke is just like fucking take do the Uber, do the AI Uber.
Yeah. Do the R2 Uber. R2's driving Uber now. When did R2 start driving Uber?
R2, I want to see the scene where R2's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Luke? Like, you can't fly him?" He's like, "No, I'm super busy meditating."
Yeah, I'm super busy. Oh wait, you're controlling the ant bot. Shit.
Ugh.
I gotta talk to Yoda. Oh shit, this is a little Yoda. Fuck. Yeah, it's such a good skit for like SNL or like a claymation, right? Like an insult comedy show. To do a skit like that would be the way to do it, because
yeah, like, where do we need to drop him off? Tatooine? Luke's like, I'm not fucking going back there.
Fucking going back there. that would be the best fucking way. Like, I'm not going home. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm not going home. Fuck you. Right.
See, these are called trees. Not a single one over there.
See the grass? I'm not going back there. Never again. I told myself. Like, my dad hated sand. I hate sand. Everybody hates sand here. Okay, go ahead, R2. You go back. We'll give you an oil bath when you get back. Yeah, it just felt the whole 3rd season again felt a little like they just ran out of story.
Mhm.
Like, let's just phone it in, and that's the problem with these shows that go a
That's
little.
why I think it was a Gina thing. That's why I think they literally had something completely differently written, including some really cool tie-ins with Gina to Leia
Maybe.
and the royal family. I think that was all something that was going to get worked in with Alderaan and all that different kind of stuff.
Hello.
In which case, you would basically have a connection between Luke and Gina, because they would be
Yeah.
essentially cousins at that point. That, catapults off. You've got this brand new team.
Are we biting that she's related to the royal family?
100%.
That that she's not just from Alderaan, that she's an Organa?
Maybe not an Organa, but
One
relative of a cousin.
Maybe like a cousin or brother or sister to the little shit she saw in Kenobi. Like one of those cousins.
Shit she saw in Kenobi.
She was like insulting her cousin that came.
Oh, right. Yeah,
like
exactly.
like
would have been
that,
like her sister or something.
Okay, I could get behind some of that. I could get behind some of that. Again, look, it's how do I put this? It's a shame. Yes, what Disney did is 100,000,000,000% not right, in my opinion. The way they treated Gina, between the political platform that they have no problem with Mark Hamill having, the political platform that Bill Burr has, with his comedy. I think they did her a little wrong. At the same time, like Daisy and John Boyega and potentially maybe Adam Driver, if he could so be persuaded, they got pissed off at Lucasfilm but didn't torch the bridge. Gina went full double barrel.
Honestly, all I get, they fucked the story. That's what
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. It's unfortunate that the things played out in the order that they did, because time heals a lot of wounds.
Yeah,
Right?
could have taken some time away.
Yeah. And I'm not saying Gina was in the wrong by any stretch of the imagination, speaking her mind. She absolutely should have and should continue to, and she does. But ultimately, throwing napalm on bridges is unfortunate for us as fans, because it means that it'll never happen. Right. And that's,
I just think the whole thing, I think it could have been handled differently. That's what bums me out.
No, not could have, should have.
Yeah, and
should have, not could
Gina
have.
suffers, and ultimately the fandom suffers, which fucking sucks.
Exactly, and their story suffers, like you're saying. Their story group suffers because somebody knee-jerk reacted to her posting something on her personal social media, not at a Star Wars event, on stage, at Celebration, at stage, at a con. No.
Yeah.
She did this on her personal. So
it's social media, you fucking idiot.
It's exactly. Again, it's not like she was at an activist,
You don't walk out on stage at Star Wars Celebration and say, God, Emperor Trump is the greatest.
The mouse is an asshole. Okay, he's a Nazi. The mouse is not nice, right? Like she didn't say any of that. She put what droids say on her social media. That's ultimately what started the whole snowball, is the beep bop boop.
But again, to bring it back to the point, I think
the story suffers.
Yeah, I think that's what they were planning on doing. I think, I can't bring any validity to anything I heard about Jon Favreau being pissed off or anything, but I would have to imagine if you had this whole thing mapped out and you're like, hey, I did this for Marvel, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it for you, Star Wars. And then they're like, fuck your plan.
Well, and you can't recast her.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just be like, oh, we're recasting her. It's like, you can't do that with it. Just in 2024, it feels wrong. This isn't.
Well, if it was something else, like she had to leave because of personal problems, or God forbid, she had cancer or something like that, people would understand.
For sure.
But you can't just be like, political reasons, you're being recasted. It would have been suicide.
Well, I mean, the fact that they did it like they did it is
that was crazy shit I've ever seen.
Way you can really do it is, oh, she's out doing stuff. Like, okay, cool. She's out doing stuff. That's what she's going to be doing for a long time. I mean, it's easier to say, she got by some death troopers. Like, that is the easier way out. Instead, it seems like Disney continues to hold out hope, like bygones will be bygones. And it's like, the only way I see bygones being bygones is if there's a big lot of zeros behind a number.
A lot of zeros. Not a whole lot of decimal points, but a lot of zeros. Lots of commas.
Zeros are the only way.
We like commas.
That's it. That's the only way. And honestly, I mean, and I keep saying this again, until a project is truly dead, it's never dead. I mean, look at, Rogue Squadron, right? And let, that working out brilliantly with Cleopatra being dead and that movie no longer happening. It opens us up to have Patty come back and visualize her X-Wing movie, which is another one I'm excited for.
Definitely
right?
female protagonist for sure, 1000%.
We'll see. I mean, I would think that with Patty, I would think that she really wouldn't. Is she a big female feminist activist? Is she?
Bro, are you kidding me? She did fucking Wonder Woman. So what I would say, just to clear my name a little bit here, I really don't give a shit if the female's the lead at all. It's just gotten to the point now where it's such a point that it's become a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. They're not just. This is a shitty analogy, but they're not just saying bad dog. They're rubbing your face in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a matter of like, hey, let's write this and cast the person that makes sense. It's like, it better be a chick.
And this bugs me too. And this takes me back to everything I've been saying for years.
I really don't like her.
Back to Robbie Rod is stop talking. Right? Stop talking.
We were brothers in that disappointment. You remember how excited we were? We're like, Bobby Rod's gonna save Star Wars.
You have been hired to show me something visual. Show me something visual before you talk about
your opinions.
Yeah, and this is why I don't like this director for this movie. Again, I am not interested in. I'm interested in the movie. I'm not interested in the director. I don't agree with bringing your views into your movies. I think producers should be able to rein in directors like this, and I think that directors should stop talking. I continue to say this. I'm going to continue to say this. Directors, your job is to give us something visually appealing, not to talk about what is or isn't Star Wars. So much like my friend Robbie Rod, who's talked about a show that was all killer, no filler. And that show had a lot of filler and was not as killer as we thought it would be. Just stop talking. You've been hired to produce and direct a project. Go produce and direct the project. Don't talk about anything related. In fact, don't do any PR at all. Let the PR department do it. Let them promote the show. Let them promote the movie. You go work on your storyboards and work with the producer and work with your costume department and work with your director of photography and work with your sound engineers and work with your lighting department and get all of this stuff ironed out. So when they bring you the final script and the cast has been cast and the wardrobe has been wardrobed and the makeup has been made up and the audio has been audioed and the cameras have been cameraed and the time code's been time coded, and everybody's ready to do their job. After your project is done, then open up and talk about a finished project. But after it has premiered, stop talking and start directing.
I want to make men uncomfortable. Like, okay, I'm not watching your shit.
I'm already uncomfortable. Right? And that's another thing that I've said for years. Attitude reflects leadership. Yeah. Right? It's a big thing in everything from the military to, movie sets to underwear commercials, right? Attitude reflects leadership. And when you have this person coming in with this large a chip on her shoulder with this, I am weary for the crew, to be honest. As a crew person and a director with this kind of attitude, I am worried for the crew and the painstaking days they are going to have because she seems a little unstable. Right. And look, I'm as feminist as a man can be, right? Because they say we don't understand. You're right. I don't. I'm a man. You're right. I don't understand. But I'm as much a
her
feminist.
chip is not coming from American men. Her chip is coming from a whole different universe.
That's just it. You can't classify. I don't classify women based on one woman, right? Like everybody. Oh, she cray. Yeah, she could be cray. Not all of y'all are cray, right? Like there's a huge difference. And this is the kind of thing I'm just saying. how about you let PR do PR and you go shush, not because you're a
Mhm.
woman, because you're a director. How about you go
Yeah.
storyboard? How about you go work on your lighting? How about you go talk to your producers, your makeup, your sound, and all the people that you need to talk to, and stop talking to the press
Yep.
until your movie's done and until people have seen it, and then do the press. It should be like a fight, right? Yeah, you do maybe one or two like promotional interviews where you talk about lightsabers and pew pews,
Right.
but then you get a post-fight press conference. You
Yep.
get a post-fight
You
show.
talk
Let's
about
talk
everything that
post-fight.
happened.
Everything
Yep.
that you want to get out there, talk about it post-fight, right? Leave the shit on the screen. And that's how I've always felt with all of the directors. I mean, notice you don't see Bryce Dallas Howard getting in these kind of things because she's
Yeah,
professionally
never.
trained in Hollywood by her father and has been in Hollywood for 20, 30, 40 years.
It used to be a habit of mine where I would watch a movie that maybe didn't have a completely clear ending, or the message could be interpreted in different ways. And afterwards, you would go and you would look and you would find a YouTube video of the director saying something after the movie was made and saying,
Right.
this is kind of what I was trying to put forward, or I intentionally left this open for the audience to decide whatever they want, you know,
Yeah. I mean, you don't
instead
see
of this is why I'm doing this.
Right, and then I mean, you have people like Taika. You have people like they say stuff,
Yadi.
but they don't put themselves in a box.
Yeah.
And say anything that's not in this box is trash. Like that's the difference between a director like Bryce, a director like Taika.
Well, Taika did too.
Yeah, but did he put his foot in his mouth as much as she did though?
No, hardcore not. No.
That's
No.
what I'm saying. Like
I
Taika,
think Taika, the big one was I'll destroy your mythos in a minute or whatever he said.
yeah, cool, as he should. Like that's just talking shit about canon, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
talking shit about you are a man and I hate you all. Like, come on,
Yeah, it's
dude.
a little different.
It's a little different a conversation, man. You know, like it's like me saying, well, I hate all religious people. Well, that's a very narrow-minded representation of
Yeah.
a conversation. And that's the problem I feel is don't bring your activism to the platform. Leave your activism on your social media platform that you're not going to get shit on for pursuing your interests. But never mind. I digress.
Yeah,
but
double
like I
staff
said,
standards all over.
but everybody thinks, look, and here's the thing, and here's the last thing I'll say about Gina. Everybody thinks that because Gina is a lot of people on the side of Gina are on the side of hating Disney Star Wars. I am on the side of not hating Disney Star Wars, but still being behind Gina. It works both ways. The things are not exclusive. I can like Disney Star Wars and still feel like they did somebody wrong.
People love to do the whole box thing.
Oh,
You gotta
dude.
tuck them away,
Oh.
put them in their little boxes, you know.
You're a Disney Star Wars fan. You hate Gina. You fucking hate her. I know you hate her.
Right? That's it. That's what they hear. Oh, you're a Disney
Yeah.
Star Wars fan. You hate Gina. No, dude. Like, unlike most of you fake fans, I knew who Gina Carano was before she was Gina Carano that you know.
Yeah.
Like I know of her, but when she was an athlete whooping ass before the UFC was popular.
Yep.
When the women's game was
The
underground.
old
right?
days.
I remember all that stuff. I remember who that person was and who she's become is great. But let's be real. Like if you're a fan now of like her fight. Cool. Be a fan of her fight. But remember, there were a lot of people that were fans of hers long before this fight.
Yeah. Who
And
know
that-
that she's a genuinely good
Decent
fucking person.
Dude,
Yeah.
everything I see her do is great.
Yeah.
Right. She had one confrontation with one corporate entity, and all of a sudden she's the poster child for. Now, granted, she brings it on herself, but she's the poster child for the anti-establishment, anti-woke, corporation figurehead. Right.
I've always been that way. That's what I think is so funny. You get these people who are like, I'm anti-establishment. I'm the rebel, and it's like, bro, you are shilling one of the most expansive media companies in the world. Like when I listened to Rage Against the Machine when I was a kid, that shit was anti-corp, right? I'm still anti-corp. I've always been anti-corp for Star Wars. Lucas was anti-corp.
I've been on both sides of a lot of things, right? I've been part of the governmental cog as a member of the military, and I've been a cog of television and movies, and I see how it all works. Yeah, it's all the same, dude. It's all power. And anybody who thinks any different, you're just feeding one machine or the other, right? Like,
And now you have the Harvey Weinstein's assistant freaking running the head of like, come on, bro.
Oh, I mean, look, I don't know what her experience was with Harvey, but Harvey did nothing but touch nice things. I mean, do nice things to me. But yeah,
you painted your roof blue because a laser is going to be coming in here.
Yeah, right.
The Helldivers laser,
the space laser from Antarctica. Yeah, man. I mean, the directed energy weapons. I think that's what they call them.
Yeah,
directed energy weapons. But look, it's still the Wild West.
Actually, it's directed energy incendiaries.
Yeah, right. But yeah, look, honestly, the fact that there's still conversations about all of these things to me is good, right? I think we need to be debating more and not putting ourselves in a school of camp, right? The camp mentality is I've never been a follower. Yeah. I'm never going to follow the Pied Piper, right? And so for me,
it's the popular opinion right now, dude. And if you don't, you better get back in line,
and that's just it. I don't follow the trends. I've never been one of those people that's been, following the herd. And so for me, I can straddle both sides of most conversations, and I enjoy the spirit of debate. If people want to debate, not get personal, because once you get personal, I win. I've already won.
Yeah,
right.
It's over.
So the debate is over once you get personal. So for me, it's just, I want people to continue to have the spirit of debate. I want people to be able to have a conversation, have an argument, and then switch the conversation and laugh together. Because
tall order, bro.
It's a tall order, but it's an order I don't shun away from.
You're still the only shill. You and Brian are still the only shills that I keep in touch with regularly.
I mean, look, because
you don't do it.
I don't buy into one camp or the other, because I agree with, look, it's just like I think it was Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock or one of those guys are like, look, there's some stuff I'm conservative about, and there's some stuff I'm liberal about. You just have to find out where you are on that line and really know where you are, and not just follow a trend, right? Like, I like Star Wars. I try not to ruin it by being negative about it. For me, like, I don't want to be in the situation you're in right now, not knowing how to feel or feeling indifferent, I guess is the worst thing, I guess, is what I would say how you're feeling. You're very indifferent. I'm loving that you're 3D printing and painting sculptures and lightsabers and all that stuff, because it shows you're still into it.
I'm still hanging on to what I love.
You're just stuck in the void right now that they've created. They've created this little void where there's a lot of fans that are just like, I don't know where to be right now, so I'm just going to float right here. And
I don't like this.
Yeah, and it's a tough space to be. And that's I guess that's why I'm so shilly all the time, is because I don't want to ever get into that void. And I've not made content because I've been the real world has been taking up a lot of time.
Same, bro.
Yeah, you have a baby, so it's different. But I was trying to do a bunch of stuff, and then things got put on the side, and now we're doing a couple other things. But I try to be here more. I'm trying to have more conversations, and trying to have conversations with people that don't have the same opinions, and then have conversations with people that do have the same opinions. So,
what's the number one rule of investing? Do you know what it is?
Well, I mean, I think it's the number one rule of gambling. It's be okay with be willing to gamble what you're willing to lose.
The other number one rule: diversify.
Yes. Sorry.
So
I look at it from a gambling perspective, because like, go in with what you're willing to lose.
We're Nevadans. We're Nevadans. It's a whole different mindset over here.
In a totally different way. But yes, diversify for sure.
But I think that is so true, not only in investing. I think that's extremely true in how you should operate your mindset as well. Diversify. Yeah. So get opinions from other people, have conversations with other people. Diversify, be willing to be diverse in your thought, because that cultivates a healthy mindset. If you get stuck in one spot, dude, you're screwed.
Well, and in 2024, ego is the biggest culprit for me. And
everyone's got a huge one because everybody
everybody-
can be famous at any
everybody's
moment, right?
dick is humongous, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody looks down and sees a monster, right? I
Yeah.
get it.
6
ult-
monster cans
But
tucked into their
ultimately,
boot.
for me, it's like, look, in order to live where we live, in order to live where I live, and I tell people that move to Vegas all the time, oh, I'm going to move to Vegas. There's so much work coming. Okay, cool story, bro. Do you really know yourself? Like, do you know the person that lives way down in the bottom dark parts of you? Because if you don't, this city's going to find it, right? You may not realize you've got a thing for baccarat and meth, but one night, one night you're going to be out and not realize it, and it's going to happen. And
I had no idea I was a meth head.
And that,
yeah,
no,
no
dude,
idea.
I've seen it with my own eyes, dude. It's
Oh my God.
crazy. I've seen it. Baccarat and
They
meth,
call it Sin City, dude.
escorts, and it was poker. Like, there's people come here and lose everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I talk about with this. There's a lot of ego around, and
Imagine going to Hollywood.
if you don't know yourself before you talk about and follow a herd, right, you're losing.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell people all the time, take some time, get to know who you are, and then form your own opinion. Don't listen to the opinions of others and then let that mold your opinion.
And that's what it is. See, that's why I have a lot of problem, and this is going to sound really harsh and really shitty.
No.
People that toe the line, I have zero respect for.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is because there is probably 1%, 2% of people who toe the line that firmly believe that shit in their heart, and that's who they are deep down inside, 100%.
Mhm.
The rest of them are just filling in a void of something they don't know about themselves with
Clicks.
a purpose that they don't fully understand.
Views. Because
Yeah.
that opinion gets views and gets clicks. So that's what they like. And it's that cycle of social media. Well, I need that attention. I need those likes. I need those clicks. I could give a fuck about those likes. In fact, go hit the down thumb. I give a fuck. I make no money here.
Yeah.
I have zero vested in this financially. Go click the down thumb. Give a fuck. If you don't like what I have to say, get the fuck out. I
Yep.
don't care because I don't make money here.
It's a free country.
What I want is I want people to come here because they want to have a good time. They want to talk about stuff that's different. They want to not be surrounded by somebody who toes the line, because I sure as fuck don't. On
Yeah.
either side, shills call me a grifter, grifters call me shills, right? I get it. I'm in the middle, right? And that's okay. And that's where I want to live anyway. I don't
Yeah.
ever want to be on one side of anything, dude. I'm a lot of liberal of some things. I'm a hella conservative about other things in life. And if you don't know your balance, and if you haven't figured out what side of the lines you live in, and you're just letting all these other, oh, Star Wars sucks and the acolytes bullshit and this females fuck
Speaker.
you.
That's all you are. You're a wireless speaker for somebody else. That's it.
That's
You're
it.
a fucking Bluetooth speaker.
That's it.
somebody
You're
else.
and it's so funny. So I was watching a short today that was talking about 90% of the people in this world are NPCs.
100%, dude. Totally agree.
Right? Even
Yeah.
if you have a podcast, even if you have a voice, even if you 90% of people are NPCs. So in that respect, don't be an NPC. Be the main
Yeah.
character in your life. That's what I tell people all the time. If you are a sub character in somebody else's life, dude, you're failing.
Yeah, not a good thing to do.
Like, you should be the main character in your own story. And if you're not, change it. Right? Like, I come here with no financial gain. I come here to talk to people that 100% believe what I believe and people that 100% don't believe what I believe. I don't care. I will conversate with anybody.
Yeah.
As long as it can be civil. Like, you could call me an idiot because I'm the youngest of 4. I grew up to idiot like that. And somebody says idiot in the crowd, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm the youngest as well. Yeah.
So it is what it is. But ultimately, if we can have a civil conversation and disagree, that's what I like, man, because
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I
though. So
learned
that's my
so
problem.
much about the other person by learning, and please prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong because that means I learned.
Right.
Right. If I'm always right, I never fucking learn anything. and you stay the same bitter asshole that you always are if you don't learn anything. And I don't want to be a bitter asshole here. 'Cause that's
Diversify,
what
man.
happens in real life.
So that's where I was at. That's where I'm at as a content creator right now. Is
Yeah.
I'm not even making content because there's not a whole lot of diversity of thought, at least to the point that I'm willing to engage in. Most of the
Yeah.
time, it's just battering. It's a lot of battering.
Well, then, we've talked about it before. Then let's get together more. Like, let's
Yeah, I
get
think
together
we
and have the discourse, and maybe let the chat pick a conversation they want us to talk about, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it, whatever. Like, me, I'm always down.
Did I tell you the comment I got the other day?
What was that?
It was you and all your old asshole friends were the ones hating on the prequels and they came out. I was like,
I mean,
I was 9 years old, you fucking idiot.
I was 19 and 20.
You were the asshole.
But I was the asshole standing in line multiple times. Like, I was the asshole, like, this is before you had assigned seat tickets, kids. This is when
Yeah.
you actually had to stand in a line to get tickets to go into the theater.
It was a thing made of a tree. It was called a paper ticket.
Paper ticket, and they would cut it so that you couldn't use it again or like text it to your friend.
Right.
And so we stood in line several times. I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out, we stood in line for like 3 hours.
Oh yeah, dude, there were people camped out for 24.
Oh yeah. On opening night, we were several hours deep in that 24-hour rut.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had chairs. You took, I don't know where that came from. You
That's
had
cool.
chairs. We took coolers of food. You stayed there forever. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. I'm like, how do
you do that?
I don't know. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, man, look, it's a different time. And so that argument for me is, yeah, you know what? Here's the problem. Well, problem and not a problem. Twitter and Facebook weren't around during the prequels. I think if they were, a lot
Just
more
message
people.
boards. You remember those?
Oh, dude, yeah. AOL message boards.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, I go back to the old school of like having to know the URL to get into the chat, you know? But unfortunately, a lot of the people that were dissing the prequels were the critics.
That's
And
what
the-
people
and the
fail
new-
to understand.
Right?
If you think
The
George
hardcore
Lucas
fan.
was on message boards looking at what fans were
Yeah,
saying, and that's
no,
why he was
no.
upset, you're out of your effing mind.
Yeah, no.
Or
No,
that
but-
Hayden Christensen was on message boards looking like no. Even
but it's the
Jake
people-
Lloyd has come out recently. It was It wasn't the fans.
No, it was the
freaking
media.
critics.
It was
Yeah,
the critics, and it was the media, and it was the newspapers, and it was the news, and it was all of this Siskel and Ebert bullshit, which you wouldn't
Yeah.
understand Star Wars if it hit you with a bantha. Like that was the problem of the time. I think if the prequels aired today, or with social media today in place of the sequels, let's say, I think it does 1,000 times better because the critics would have said whatever they would have said.
yeah.
But the fandom would have spoken in places like this and with more freedom. And George
And that
and
CG
everybody,
still holds up, baby.
dude, that CG is still baller. And if you
So
watch
good.
the behind the scenes, it looks like they're playing at a kid's playhouse.
Yeah.
Everything's blue foam mats. Everything's like the light. I love the outtakes of like Hayden and Ewan spinning lightsabers and them just flipping off in the
Oh,
distance
yeah.
and like
He
hitting
hits
the
Hayden in
camera.
the nuts.
Yeah, like those are the things. It's like, you guys, we could have got a whole nother generation of those movies if the critics weren't such shitheads. And
Yeah.
if they didn't have it out for George Lucas, I'm sorry, I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. The critics were pissed off that the original Star Wars did so good, considering it was an independent film and not backed by the mainstream. And then he did it again with Empire, and then he did it again with Jedi, and they still held their grudges from the 70s and 80s into the 2000s. I'll say it, Siskel and Ebert can suck a dick. Sorry, not
Second.
sorry.
That's what
that's who did it, man.
That's why I always said, dude, George has always been anti-establishment. Star Wars has always been
Yeah,
anti-establishment.
sure.
So
I agree.
yeah, I had my concerns when Disney picked it up because it's inherently kind of an anti-establishment, a little bit of a rebel roughhouser kind of production. Star Wars has always been. And now you see what Star Wars is when it's not that, and it does feel very different to me. So I understand when people are upset and they're like, bro, it's Star Wars, why are you not enjoying it? And I'm like, because to me, I understand why other people don't feel that way. To me, it doesn't have that rebellious spirit, that
Right, it's
spirit
too
in
corporate.
its heart.
It's too corporate.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I totally understand. For me, it's such a sense of joy. Even when I watch Bad Batch on Wednesday mornings when I wake up. I don't watch it at night because I can get loud when we're watching Star Wars, so I don't watch it at night. But in the morning when the house is free to make noise, I watch it standing up still. I still watch it on the big screen like a 5-year-old in front of the monitor.
Nice.
I got to tell myself to step back because I'm doing this on the 65-inch, right?
Yeah.
I still get when I hear the song, like I just rewatched Rebels and I hear certain songs and the Spirit of the Force, whatever it is that Disney's doing this month. I heard that on the TV and I was in my phone on the gram posting some stuff and I heard it and I looked up and I got chills. Just the sound, certain sounds make
John Williams.
give me that feeling, right? And so for me, I still feel that, and that excites me. And I'm bummed that more people don't feel that still, right? That more people are stuck in this void of.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. My ears still perk up if I hear 2 notes of any motif from John Williams. It's more of a like, what are they doing?
Right. and look, I took a couple years ago, and this is exactly what you're talking about. A couple years ago, I took the whole summer off, which I hadn't done in 17 years. I took 3 full months off of work, and it was a crazy grind.
Yeah.
And I remember why I did it is because one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I said, I have to go to work today. And at the end of those 3 months, I remembered that I get to go to work today.
Yeah.
And that I enjoy what I do. Right. And so it's funny how one word in a sentence can change the way you feel about something. Right. And I think a lot of people are in that same place you are, where they're like indifferent or
I have to watch Star Wars. I have to make a video on Star Wars.
It's not what are they going to do? It's what have they done?
Right.
And those 2 little changes in the sentence change the dynamic of how you feel, right? Because that's what I looked in the mirror and realized. The one word in that sentence changed how I felt about going to work. Having to do something versus getting to do something. And I feel
so what can they do? I mean, in your mind, because for me right now, for me to get any vested interest back and really be hyped and try to hype this stuff up right now, I need to feel the heart of Star Wars again. I don't know what they can do to even bring it back for me to revive. And I know there's a lot of fans that feel the same way I do.
A lot of fans do feel the same way. I think they need, and this is something I think that's not logical, but I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. And they were like, well, they don't listen and look at you Star Wars people or you YouTubers. And I was like, as a matter of fact, you think they don't, but there's this guy named Shamook that did a thing and YouTube basically recruited him or Disney recruited him off of YouTube.
Bro, Nerdrotics was on Pierce Morgan the other day.
That's crazy.
With Critical Drinker. Like, I'm just saying. They're absolutely watching.
And they're absolutely watching. And my biggest thing, I think the smartest thing they could do is stop hiring people at a film school. Stop hiring people at a film school.
Right. Get some established veteran creators in there.
How about bring in some new voices from somewhere outside of the pocket? Right? We talk about the box, right? That we get stuffed in. Grifters, shills, creators. I think it's time for Lucasfilm to maybe start looking elsewhere for creators. Start looking elsewhere for storytellers. I can't write my way out of a paper bag.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm almost too illiterate to do it. Right. I'm honest, dude. And people tell me don't talk down about yourself. No. I'm not talking down. I'm talking fact. I'm a high school educated idiot. I have no formal after high school education. Right. But I could tell a fucking story. Could I write that script? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Have I tried?
You can
Yes.
conceptualize it and
I
see
can
it.
conceptualize it. I can't
This
put
is
it
a problem.
like I'm a T-Rex, right? Big brain, big
Yeah.
head, little brain, little arms, right?
Still
Like,
picking keys.
but I got a fucking couple of great story ideas. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we're missing is they want to follow this little path of well, this is where we're supposed to go. Well, this is
Right.
what we're supposed to do, right?
Like law
That's
school.
the problem there at Disney or at Lucasfilm right now. Is everything is like, well, this is what we're supposed to do. Well, you didn't care about that when you did the last 3 movies. You give a
Yeah.
shit about that, but all of a sudden you care about what you're supposed to do. So for me, I think it's maybe bring in some of these ideas from other places. Maybe look at the Jango Fett story, Boba Fett season 2. Maybe as stupid as this is going to sound.
That's a $1 billion movie that we just came up with right there. I mean,
Oh, dude,
all
that
day.
saves the franchise. That saves a lot of the franchise for a lot of people. Is giving
Yeah.
Boba the arc that he deserves after shedding him of his skin.
have callbacks to the Jedi Mandalore Wars.
I mean,
Don't put a
I know-
shitload of yellow lightsabers in it. Like, it's so easy.
I know that this is a take a lot of people don't agree with, but I think doing a Kenobi season 2 is a good idea. I think using putting it in smack
Don't
where
you
it needs to
dare.
smack there it needs to be
Don't you dare.
in the middle of so it's got to be before the mall fight
Or ending with.
or ending right before. Right? I think
Okay. So
so,
don't
like-
redo the scene.
no, it's got to be a year before mall.
Yeah.
About a year before Maul. And the reason I say that is you have to show us how we get from young Ewan Kenobi to old man Kenobi before the Maul fight.
Young Ewan, that young Kenobi who somehow forgot how to use the Force, even though his mission from Yoda
Yeah.
was to protect the child.
Right.
He discarded all of his training, all of his knowledge to work in
Yeah.
a fish factory.
Basically, yeah. He's just
I'm just making sure we got
the-
that. just
the
making sure
only
we got
way
that
it
squared
gets
away.
better is if he's a drunk. In
That
the,
would
in
have
those
been
scenes.
anything that, you know what you do? You play from that scene in Attack of the Clones where he's like, I'm going for a drink. And just make him an alcoholic.
Yeah, I think that
Make him an
that's how that works to me. Is if he's cutting fish drunk in a factory, like he's got to
Yeah.
pull a flask out and be like,
He's like, you want to see my lightsaber?
right? But ultimately, I think you get like there's got to be a way to age him.
He runs back into the guy who's selling
Who's
death
selling
sticks, and
death
that's his
sticks.
plug now on Tatooine.
But it's got to be like for me, it's got to be you have to show me how we get to old man Kenobi, right? I was hoping that's what they were gonna do in the series at some
Yeah.
point. Is
100%.
show us how you get from you into old man Kenobi because you can't do that through meditation. You can't do that through living beyond years. It's got to be something physical, like force lightning, like
The
know.
Tatooine sun.
No, I don't think
The
so.
Tatooine sun, dude. It was stated. Did you read the Kenobi book? It was stated like, hey, you better keep your hood up because if you don't, that shit will age you quick.
Yeah,
And he pulls his hood down
yeah.
and looks up at the sun because he wants to change his appearance.
I mean, I just can't see a show based on Kenobi sunbathing.
It's not what I meant. But Kenobi season 2. It's
Kenobi
just him in a
season 2.
fucking lawn
Hold on.
chair for
I got
6 hours.
I got my sunshade on, just following the twin suns. No, bro.
He's pulling solar
No.
panels off of droids, just making a fucking Death
No.
Star array.
No, yeah, but for me, look, I mean, as much as I've said it a bunch of times. In fact, I have I have storyboards. I got a 6-frame little comic strip that I'm working on right now with my artist. He's got 5 frames of work to do. I'm working on 1 frame, but basically I'm continuing to pitch to Samuel L. Jackson every time I'm on Twitter that I think that season 2 of Kenobi should feature Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. And I think that Mace coming for Luke. And that's the only way. I think that's the only way we get there. Personally, I think fans would like it. I think it would be a
That's
great
one
way.
of those ones that's just fucking wild enough that it might work.
That's
know
what
what
I'm
I mean?
saying. I think they gotta
fans
go
are-
wild.
I think the fan reaction from that would be like, "Fuck you, Disney."
I think that would be as big as the Luke Skywalker reveal, to be honest. I think that would be just as big as the Luke Skywalker season 2 of Mandalorian reveal. I think if you saw Mace on Tatooine, I think the fans would shit.
Could you imagine the can of worms that opens?
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
do you
I
how do you explain
Yeah.
any of it, all of it?
I got it all. I think you go Gladiator. I think you go he after Coruscant, he ends up like in a slave trade, keeping his identity secret.
That's not gonna go over well.
Can't you can't. I agree with you. Well, I mean, they did Django Unchained. Come on, they did Django
That's
Unchained.
Quentin
Come on.
fucking Tarantino,
What
bro.
the fuck?
That could, if
Flavors. Anakin was a fucking slave.
they set a bar in the sand, Quentin Tarantino pushes it like 10 feet
Yeah.
in front of it,
But
and
my point
nobody
is,
complains.
Anakin was a slave. Like they started the whole series, the whole movies with a slave kid. Like why
Okay.
can't? And
Guess what?
Just because it's Mace Windu,
1999,
just because it's Mace Windu, we can't have a slave. Oh,
This-
forget
this is
about it. Come on,
25
forget it.
years later.
All
That's
I'm saying is
a risky
Mace
take.
Windu wakes up in a slave trade, right? Can't use the Force because he'll out himself, and then the Empire will come get him. So, he takes a little bit of beatings, he takes some lashings, eventually escapes.
Dude, not in your wildest dreams.
Dude,
Would
it would
you
be
see
amazing.
Samuel L. Jackson tied up to a post getting
I
beat
didn't
by
say
some
tied
white
up to a
guy,
post. Let's not get out of control. I'm just
taking
saying,
some beatings?
a little bit of beating. I'm not saying with whips.
Say your
and
name,
canes.
Jedi.
I'm just saying, there were some Targaryens that like to whip people, and it was seen in Clone Wars. I'm
Never
going
gonna happen.
off of Clone Wars here,
Never
but
gonna happen.
it would be either that or he has to go like full dark side, finds an apprentice, opens some Sith temples, kills his apprentice once they're in there, like go full dark Mace, find some information, hear about a Skywalker on Tatooine, and then boom, he's in play. Like
Theoretically, there's a decent plot there because of Apod. You could
Yeah.
argue the fact that he decides to fully tap into it.
yes, yeah, right.
In his idea that I have to go to the dark in order to save the light, but
it consumes him in the end, and then he meets the end. He meets the end of Kenobi's blade in the end. Right. Last scene. Here's my last scene.
that would be cool.
Last scene in the whole show is Kenobi aged like Palpatine from Alec Guinness Kenobi artwork
hmm
or makeup. He's at a grave that just says Master Windu, and you can see the hut in the distance as the sun sets, and that's the end credit. Because next comes Maul, and then it fast
Mhm.
forward. But
I
that's
like Skywalker's Academy's answer here.
what's that one? Boba Fett. I mean, everybody wants to see that Mace Boba arc, right? Everybody wants to see that finality. It's a tough sell because Mace doesn't care about Boba at all.
No, but Boba sure as shit gives a shit about
Now-
Mace.
Okay, now how about this? How about this to accommodate all? Like you're saying, how do they bring us back? Right? That was the question. How about this? Boba Fett does season 2 of Boba Fett. We do the whole Django arc. Boba, after all this, goes to Mandalore. End scene. I heard about a Jedi, and it's Mace Windu is he goes to Mandalore, and they're like, oh, we heard about this Jedi or this Red Blade, but he's only got one arm. And end scene would be, you think he's going to go after Mace, but it's not. That's the only way I could see you introducing Mace and then coming into Kenobi season 2.
Or you think he's going after Kenobi, but then he winds up finding Mace.
Or that way too, right? But I
Yeah.
think ultimately you can't have those two meet, because a dark Mace against a Boba, I think he crushes him like a can, right? Like dark side user would use that armor and just have a good day,
Oh yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
right? So it's not really, Mace doesn't have that Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder anymore that's Yoda keeping him in the light.
Yeah.
If he's a dark evil Mace, he's like, oh, armor. Okay, done with you next, right? Like, I don't want to see them meet because Mace is so overpowered at this point. Like,
yeah, he just does the Ocean Explorer submarine and just
bye. Right. And so I think that would accommodate a lot of people, but I would like to see maybe Mace mentioned. Oh, that would be a great way to do it. Is that somebody mentions, well, didn't he die at the hand of a Jedi? And then all you see is Mace, like the outlet of Mace with a metal arm or something like that, and then that cuts to Mace is alive. You'll see Mace Windu in the future, and then that cuts to Kenobi. But I think honestly, the only way Star Wars is saved right now for the masses, not for the shills, and definitely not for Dr. Shillington here, but I definitely feel like the way to do it is you got to go extreme, right? You got to go wild. You got to bring some fucking wild cards to the mix.
And I think it has to be dark.
Dark is great.
Yeah, I think it has to be dark. I don't think anything bright and cheery right now is going to do anything for anybody in that our section of the fan base.
Yeah, no, I think it's got to be dark, and I honestly think at the end of the show, you would have to feel like you're going to feel bad for Kenobi, right? Not only
that was supposed to be the point of Kenobi,
right? But at the end of this season, the second season, what I vision is at a grave of your master right before you have to battle and bury your enemy, your greatest enemy, right? Like those two things happening in succession, right? Like that's where I want it to be. I want it to be almost irony, like, oh,
well, it's the ceiling of the chapter, right?
Yes, exactly. And who hated Anakin most out of all the Jedi?
It was always Mace.
It was always Mace.
Yeah.
Right. So he wants his revenge. He's following clues. He's like, well, you know what? we never heard how he got. I'm going to start.
That would have been the poetry in that makes so much more sense than Vader showing up somewhere and him having to fight Vader. Like the poetry of him fighting, essentially protecting the son against the Jedi Master who hated him the most.
And who saw what he really was, not what they
he
thought.
was right he was right all along.
And that's what drives him. So my opening scene in my eyes is Mace Windu, black screen. Mace, you open it up, black screen, and all you hear is Palpatine's voice saying, you need me to save the one you love. Like you just hear those things that he was saying to Anakin in the Chancellor's office and then have his eyes open, and it's Mace Windu, right? Like that's the opening scene is like, I can help you save the one you love.
Dude, the line from Mace would go so hard about like, I was wrong.
That whole play that
I didn't act once. I will act now.
But
and
that's what I'm saying.
Kenobi's standing on his faith, and he's like, he is not his father. Like, there's like, you can't do this.
Kenobi, like,
I won't risk it again.
Yes, that whole conversation in the desert under the same moon. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's how they have to do it if they want you guys back in the fold. You have to go wild. You have to go extreme. You have to go dark, and you have to go with stories you haven't even fucking thought of. Because I guarantee these stories aren't going around the story group, right? They have to go extreme.
Take care of my kid.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of here too. You go do you. I'm gonna go do me. It was good to see you. Let's do this more. Let me know when you want me to come over to your channel, and we'll do this more. And I felt
crazy talking Star Wars again. Like I feel like it's been so long. I haven't talked Star Wars in forever, dude.
It's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you came. Let's do this more. If you want to do it on your channel, you know me. I will take the barrage of shit over there as the shill.
Nobody watches my channel anymore.
I love it. Oh, yeah, they do. They love you. You got 22,000 followers. They love you. At least 10% of them love you.
30 this week, guaranteed. I'm gonna do it.
Well, then let's do it. When you hit 30,000, let's get together and let's let them berate me for an hour.
Love it.
All right, man. Be safe. I'll see you soon. It was good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. We're gonna get out of here, everybody. All right, don't forget, spay and neuter your pets, help control the pet population. Don't forget to tell everybody that you care about in your world how you feel today, because you never know what tomorrow brings. As always, thank you all for being here. It's been a crazy stream. We've talked about a lot of crazy stuff. We've had a great time. I hope you guys had a good time. Be sure to get down there, hit the like button, subscribe if you've never been here before. Thank you so much. May the force be with you. I'll see you guys soon.
Peace!